Hello, BookTube, and welcome back. Well, I made a video a couple of weeks ago, and I said that I am a big fan of military history nonfiction, and I was asked whether I could recommend any Vietnam War nonfiction. Yes, yes, I can. I've read a metric ton of Vietnam War non-fiction. I love me some Vietnam War stuff. I don't know why. I have no idea why I enjoy reading about the Vietnam War. I don't know. I can't. I back off. I don't know. I can't. I like that World War One and the Napoleonic Wars. As soon as I see a book what comes out on those three subjects, I'm all over it. I do really enjoy the subject. So I thought I'll make a wee video. Hopefully I won't go on and waffle and meander like I usually do, and give you 5 non-fiction recommendations for the Vietnam War if you're interested in the subject. So the first one is, I thought I wanted an overview of the Vietnam War, not just the American involvement, also the French involvement, because pretty much after World War II was over, the French wanted their old colonies back, and they tried to take Indochina back, and that's what started the first Indochina War. And to encompass the whole 1945 to 1975, the 30 years of the Vietnam War, first with the French and then heavily with the Americans, is definitely Max Hastings. What's he actually got here? An Epic Tragedy, 1945 to 1975, the Vietnam. This is a spectacular overview of the Vietnam War. All the major points are hit in this book. If you don't know who Max Hastings is, he's a British historian, and he knows his stuff. He's largely the World Wars. He's wrote a lot on the World Wars and also on the Korean War. So he knows how to make a really good narrative of military history, and he does a fantastic job in this. And it's about 600-700 pages, whatever it is, but it's well worth a read, easy read, and he presents to you all the major points. And again, it's absolutely full of photos. You'll get from the American side and the Vietnamese side. This is a great overview of the Vietnam War if you're interested in just having a what the hell went on, basically, kind of look. If you want to focus on one point in the war, I think one of the major ones is obviously Hue in 1968. This is by Mark Bowden. Now, this is the Tet Offensive in 1968. And January, I think, is when the Tet Offensive happened in January 1968. Before this happened, the Americans always talked about how they were going to win the war. When the Tet Offensive happened is when the North Vietnamese attacked like 100 different locations in South Vietnam. Massive military campaigns, which the Americans struggled to, and the South Vietnamese struggled to fight against. And after that Tet Offensive, the Americans kind of switched to how do we win to how do we get out of here. And this is the author's done a fantastic job at looking at. I mean, look, this is just one battle, and it's pretty much the same kind of size as a whole overview of the Vietnam War. But this is a fantastic look. And Mark Bowden, I think he did Black Hawk Down as well. So again, he knows his stuff. Did he did? He did Black Hawk Down as well. So he knows how to write military engagements in like a fascinating, switching perspectives. It's a great read. Pick it up. Definitely pick it up. The next one is by Nick Thierse. Now, Vietnam's pretty much known for its brutality, so kill everything that moves. The Real American War in Vietnam is a brutal look at all the war crimes, all the devastation that went on during the Vietnam War, the American invasion of Vietnam. They talk about My Lai, which was a massacre where American soldiers killed a lot of non-combatants, men, women, children, and they basically, oh, this was a one-off. Well, this book's pretty much saying it wasn't. The My Lai wasn't a one-off. It was right through the Vietnam War, and it's brutal. Okay, this is not a happy book. This is a really serious look at a lot of brutality and a lot of death, and when things have gone completely into chaos, and what happened. Basically, it's a really, if you like, it's not everybody's cup of tea, I admit, but it blew me away. I thought this was an absolute fascinating look at just the pure honesty that comes out of this book, because he interviews veterans and and all sorts. But yeah, pick this up because I think it's important. The next one, this is by Michael Hare. This is Dispatches. He's a war correspondent, and again, it's about 200 pages or whatnot. So it's written in like a series of reports and essays, whatever you want to call them. And it's basically, when he went there and he interviewed soldiers and what they thought and all that. It's a great look, a great book from a perspective of what they call a grunt, and what the actual forces fought on the ground. And it's a really honest, insightful look of what was happening on the ground in Vietnam compared to what the media and Washington was saying in the US. Great book. Love me some Dispatches, and it's really compelling. He's a really compelling author. And this next one is probably one of my favourite, pardon me, non-fiction books of all time. This is by David Maraniss, and this is They Marched into Sunlight. War and Peace, Vietnam and America, October 1967. This takes place over 3 days, is it? It's only a few days in October of 67, and it's basically 3 different views. So you get a view of, again, what's on the ground, the soldiers, and what they think. The sheer brutality, and yet nothing's going quite according to plan here. You then got another perspective of the student protests and the start of the anti-war movement in America. And so a lot of students, a lot of protesters get interviewed as well with soldiers. And then the final and third perspective is, Washington officials, and how divorced from reality they pretty much all were. I can't tell you how much I love this book. He's done an absolutely savage job here. It's a really, really good non-fiction book, and a really, really honest take. And some of the quotes in here, it's fantastic. This is I think, out of all of them, I think this is the longest. It's about 700 pages, whatever it is, but you'll fly through this. It's really, really engaging. I absolutely adore me some. The absolute, difference in what was going on in Vietnam compared to what the media in Washington was saying, and then, the media in Washington getting on top of the war protesters. So good. This book is well worth a read. So there are 5 recommendations if you want to get into, well, from me, the Vietnam War. So that's They Marched into Sunlight. Dispatches, again, a wee thing. It's really good. It's written, in a series of, paragraphs, basically like a report. Kill Everything That Moves, a brutal take on what was going on, especially, later on, especially after 1968, where the army was pretty much in tatters and chaos started to reign. Absolutely beautiful. That's an absolute wrong term to use. Absolutely amazing book. You've got Hugh 1968. This is about the Tet Offensive. This is when things started to turn around, and American officials like, oh, we need to get the hell out of here as fast as we can. Great book. And again, an overview by Max Hastings from when the French tried to take back Indochina to when the American helicopter left the embassy in 1975. Fantastic book. And that's it, folks. And I might make another series of military history. World War One, Two, Napoleonic Wars, Afghanistan, Iraq. I've read quite a lot. And I'll see you soon. Bye, BookTube.